Bow chicka bow wow 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 bow chicka wow 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 bow chicka wow 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 bow chicka wow 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 wow. Oh yeah, I believe it's going. Yes, I got my window wide open, dude. I got my window wide open. We are doing it. We are doing it live. Live, 5 past 5. What's up? Now my mind can thrive. What's going on? Okay, turn this down a little bit. All right. So what are we doing here? It looks like we got our frames going. The upload is good. We are going. We're live. Ooh, dude, big fat like drops in bandwidth. I don't know what's going on, but hey, welcome to the show. Let me get rid of these frames options. Video settings, extras, frames per second, apply, done. All right, now we're good to go. So we should be like set, my friends. We should be set. So today, let's talk about today is a happy day, right? Today is a happy day. Donald Trump was arraigned in federal courthouse. He was placed under arrest, fingerprinted, mugshotted, and not released to the public, but they did it. And then he was read the charges. He was charged with 37 felonies, and he pled not guilty, and then he left. So, yeah, right? Pretty wild. Pretty wild. Yo, how come you're even here? Yeah. Pretty wild. Word Grove, yeah. Now, the thing is that from the reports I've read, amongst his supporters, Donald Trump's indictment has increased their support for him. So, a guy who broke U.S. law has increased his support amongst his core supporters after he's been, charged with breaking U.S. law. Are his supporters more loyal to the United States or to Donald Trump? Donald Trump has already been is already convicted. Well, no, he's been found liable for sexual assault, and had to pay $5 million. Then he went on the New York. He went on in a town hall, and he talked shit about Gene Carroll, and he repeated the thing that he just lost the court case for. He repeated it as if it were true. So Gene Carroll is going to amend her filing to include the new statements made by Donald Trump, and that's going to increase the amount of money that Donald Trump has to pay. That's already happened, right? This doesn't faze his supporters. His supporters like it, actually, when he lies. They like it when he does bad things. So then you got to wonder, is there a fundamental difference between, in terms of values, between Trump supporters and Biden supporters? If Biden were to be found lying and committing crime, Biden's approval rating would go down. He would lose all support of his core base, and he would lose power, and he would be replaced. However, with Donald Trump, if Donald Trump is found to be lying and cheating, that increases his core support. So that tells me there's a fundamental difference in values between Biden supporters and Trump supporters. Biden supporters want their leader to be honest and law-abiding, whereas Trump supporters want their leader to gain power through whatever means necessary. Lie, break laws, cheat, doesn't matter. Any way to gain power. So, I mean, I'm just telling you what's there, right? I'm telling you what's there. There was an interview that a guy did of a Trump supporter at a Trump rally, and he asked the guy, he's like, all right, Hillary Clinton, like, you know, she was alleged to she's you know, she admitted to mishandling classified documents. What do you think should happen to her? And the Trump supporter said that Hillary Clinton should be indicted and put into prison. That's what. And then the interviewer said, okay, Donald Trump is indicted for having mishandled classified information. What do you think should happen to him? And the Trump supporter said nothing. And then so the reporter was like, all right. Just to be clear, Hillary Clinton did the same thing Donald Trump did, but you think she should go to prison? And he's like, yes. Donald Trump did the same thing that Hillary Clinton did, but you think Donald Trump should not go to prison? He said, yep. So that shows you the core supporters of Donald Trump are all about power, not about the rule of law, not about democracy, not about justice. They're about power. When their leader displays traits of fascism, their support goes up. Therefore, I can say Donald Trump is a fascist leader. And the people who follow Donald Trump are fascists. I mean, I've been calling you Nazis, so this is like a step back. So yeah, think about, well, but they're not just fascists, right? Because fascism like implies they have like a coherent ideology. A better word would be like white supremacist, because that has historical context within the United States. That's a pre-existing condition. It's a pre-existing condition. Okay. So we already know that the United States has a white supremacist problem. In fact, white supremacists attempted to overthrow democracy on January 6, 2021. So we already know the United States has a white supremacy problem. But like, how does that play out? I mean, yeah, we know how it plays out, right? They try to overthrow the government. Their leaders commit crimes, and that gives them, that makes them want to support him more. They just about tried to default on the U.S. debt, like all sorts of crazy shit, right? They're crazy. They're crazy. And it has historical context, right? We can trace a line from now all the way back to when the United States started. I can trace a line. It's not just weird today. It's not just weird today. There's a reason why it's weird today. I can trace a line all the way back to the very beginning of the United States. when when the Yankees had to compromise with the slavers in order to start the United States. There would not have even been a United States if they didn't make that compromise with the slavers. And that truce between the slavers and the Yankees held because they had it forced them to. It was either trust each other and and be destroyed, or either don't trust each other and be destroyed, or work together and survive for today. So yeah, they worked together and they survived for that day, and they defeated England, and then they defeated England again in the War of 1812. And then after the War of 1812, when the United States was actually established, when it was okay, it was a little shaky at first, but I think we're settled in to be an actual thing now. We're not just a flash in the pan. We're going to settle in now. When the pressure was off from externally, that's when the internal divisions came out between the Yankee vision of the country and the slaver vision of the country. And it didn't get resolved. There was a civil war, and then the slavers attacked the Yankees. And started the war. And then every one of the slaver states seceded and wrote a big fat letter describing the reasons why they were seceding. Every single one of those slaver states said the reason they were seceding was for the institution of slavery. So there was no question why the Confederates attacked the North, the United States, and the reason why they did it. They did it for slavery. They shot first, and they did it for slavery. Well, there's a big fat war, right? Big fat war, and General Sherman instituted what is believed the first time. I guess not the first. It couldn't have possibly been the first time, but I don't know. I guess the first time against their own people. General Sherman instituted total war against the Confederates and marched his army because they wouldn't surrender. So he's like, all right, if you're not going to surrender, I'm going to show you what war is. And he marched his army all the way to Atlanta and burned Atlanta. Not the people's houses, but the slavers and the power structures and the government. That's what he destroyed. He destroyed the power structure. He destroyed he didn't destroy the means by which people kept themselves alive. He destroyed their wealth, their big fat houses, their plantation houses, their big state capital. That's the shit he broke down. And then he divided up the land equally. General Sherman utterly crushed the Southern power structure. Where he marched. While he was under the command of the United States. Well, I mean, while he was under the command of Abraham Lincoln. Unfortunately, the South, the Confederates staged a coup, and they assassinated Lincoln. And back in that time, the person who Lincoln picked his vice president to be in order to win his election, he picked his vice president to be a Southerner. So when Lincoln was assassinated, a Southerner took over, Andrew Johnson, and he stopped the Congress from implementing Reconstruction, and he withdrew all the Union troops out of the southern states. So, in other words, the Confederacy could reform. They survived. They didn't die. They survived. They weren't crushed out. Then the West opened up for a number of reasons. and there was a rush of settlers to go west. But when they went west, a lot of the settlers brought their ideas of not only slavery but like classism and racism with them. So that the West was like just as like racially divided as as the South, I guess. It was pretty bad. The white people from East like made promises and like just broke them all and just took everything away. Just took everything. They just took everything. I'm reading a book by Heather Richardson, and I'm on the part about the West. And yeah, there was some like super shady things that went on in the West. Super shady things. So even to this day, I mean, and so we know that the Confederacy like was defeated militarily, but its spirit was not broken. It continues onward. In fact, there's a big fat fucking monument, Confederate monument, carved on a rock back east somewhere. Like it's so profane. It's so profane. Like does Germany have any like monument to Nazism inside of their country? Hell no. They would fucking knock that shit down and stomp all over it. But yet in the United States, there exists a fucking ginormous carving into a mountain of a Confederate monument, and it exists today. A monument to slavery, like to an empire of slavery. Like it's disgusting. It's disgusting. And it's proof positive that the Confederacy is alive and well in the United States. So there I was, like reading about what happened in South Carolina. In South Carolina, the state legislature passed a law saying it's illegal to talk about um, critical race theory. Well, then you got to say, well, what is critical race theory? Critical race theory is the critical examination of race theory. So, well, what is race theory? Race theory is the idea that you can stratify humans based on race. So, critical race theory is taking a critical perspective of the idea that you can stratify humans by race. In other words, critical race theory is a way of examining racism, because stratification, the arbitrary stratification of humans by race, is racism. so so this is a critical examination of racism. Critical, what does that mean? Critical, I don't mean critical like natural 20. All right, double damage. No, not like critical like systems are going critical, they're going to blow up. No, no, no. I mean critical like critique, like criticize. Critical like criticize. Like I'm going to criticize you. Critical. It's criticism. Criticism. I'm going to critique you. Racism. Critical race theory is the critique of race theory. Criticism of race theory. In South Carolina, the white supremacist legislature made it a crime to discuss criticisms of race theory. Criticism of racism. You cannot talk shit about racism in South Carolina. Broken down for you, all right? So you understand. It's the law in South Carolina that you cannot talk shit about racism in a classroom. So, like, you can't teach kids about racism. In other words, you cannot teach kids about racism in South Carolina. Now, why would white supremacists not want kids to know about racism? That's so weird. Well, again, I was reading this story, and I was gonna do a show on this. I'm gonna repeat it because I think it's really profound. I think it just like blew my mind when I figured it out. Is this the right one? Midland's teacher lesson on racism halted after complaints, citing state law. So what happened was there's a teacher, this teaching professional, highly educated, highly trained teaching professional, was hired by the state to teach these kids, and I forget how old are they? Teach these kids. And that's what she was doing. And this is not just teaching these kids. This was an AP course. So these kids this is supposed to be geared toward college-minded kids, all right? College-minded kids. So students in an advanced placement language arts class at Chaplin High School last spring were scheduled to read Between the World and Me, a 2015 memoir by writer Ta-Nehisi Coates, recapping American racial history and its impact on his life growing up black in inner city Baltimore. And okay. That's not the part I wanted to show. Okay, yeah, this is the part. So these are high school kids, high school children. But the class didn't get far in its assessment of the National Book Award winner after at least some of the students expressed discomfort with two short videos played in class as preparation for the book. The two videos were called The Unequal Opportunity Race and Systemic Racism Explained. So before they could even get to the book, they watched two videos. And while these two videos were being watched, these students felt discomfort. They felt pain. They felt sick. They felt not at well. They felt ill. These students fell ill while watching. These children fell ill while watching these videos. That's weird. Why would a particular subset of children fall ill while watching a video? That's right? That's weird. Is this like a Havana syndrome or something? Like, what the fuck? How do kids get sick watching a video? Like, and not all the kids. You would think, is it something in the air? No, because it would be all the kids then. Like, are you sure it was the video? Yeah, dude, because they weren't complaining about anything else. It was the video that made them sick. The video made them, and then so are they epileptic? Is there like a flashing thing to it? No, dude, it's nothing flashing. Like it didn't affect the other kids. Only some kids got sick watching the video. So let's go on to this, right? The student explains what happened. The student said, hearing the teacher's opinion and watching these videos made me feel uncomfortable. So there are two things that made the student sick. They were watching the video and hearing words, but the thing is that the words didn't bother the other kids. Only some of the kids got sick from the teacher's words. That's weird. So we have it narrowed down. We know that there's particular like vibrations that make these kids sick. The next step is to see, is it just when Ms. Woods says these vibrations, or do the kids also get sick when someone else repeats the same vibrations, the same words? If not Ms. Woods was to give the lesson, instead, if I gave the lesson, would these kids still get sick? Like that way we could cut out it wouldn't be Ms. Woods causing these kids to get sick, and it wouldn't be like if these kids got sick when I said the same thing, right? So it's independent of the teacher. Whatever is making these kids sick is independent of the teacher. All right, let's keep going. So one unnamed student wrote to school board member after the class. So yeah, so school one kid wrote this to to a school board member. He was just the student was describing like how they got sick. The student said, "I actually felt ashamed to be Caucasian." Why? 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 There was nothing in that book about being Caucasian, or in those videos. There's nothing in those videos about being Caucasian. Nothing at all about being Caucasian. But the student felt ashamed. That's weird. That tells me the student is not intellectually prepared for this level of discourse. They are not prepared for an AP course if what they get out of a video is something that's not even there. Like they're not even how can the student personally feel shame if they're not even in the video? They're not even, it's not about them. It's like if I watched it's like if you watched a play on Hamlet and say, "Oh, I can't watch this, I'm ashamed. I feel real bad. I feel ashamed for being white after watching Hamlet." Then you don't fucking understand what you're watching. Right? So there's two things we found out. The kid doesn't understand what they're watching. And they felt an actual illness. They felt uncomfortable. You see, they felt uncomfortable. What is when you're sick, you're uncomfortable. You're not comfortable. You're uncomfortable. You're sick. You're sick. The kid got the videos and the words made the kid sick. But the thing is that he misinterpreted the videos. So let's keep going. The kid said, "The videos portrayed an inaccurate description of life from past centuries." Holy shit! Is this a kid or is this a PhD candidate? What happened? I don't understand. I thought this was a high school student. How does this kid know anything, right? How does this kid know this is an inaccurate depiction of life from past centuries? I thought the kid was the student. What? What? What's going on here? This kid, has totally gotten confused about something. I don't think these are this kid's words. I think something implanted these words. It makes sense. Of course they did. Of course they did. Of course some other entity had to have implanted these words into this kid's brain, because this kid, high school student, does not have the knowledge of what life was like. He does not have an accurate understanding of what life was like, a description of what life was like from centuries ago, to make a comparison, to make an actual challenge against the material. They're a kid. There's a reason why they're in school. I mean, if you want to bring up an adult for it, who wants to try to make an argument, sure, but you're a kid. You can't make that kind of argument. You can't. That's invalid. It doesn't work. The only thing so far that is of interest is that child got ill while watching this. That child got sick. And then the child is repeating what someone told the child to say. Right. Quote, "I don't feel as though it is right because these videos show antiquated history." Antiquated history? Isn't that like an oxymoron? Not an oxymoron, redundant. That's like saying cold ice. Yeah. Isn't this old history? Like why do we have to watch old history? It hurts my head. You can tell this kid's parent is writing this letter, not the kid. This kid's parent wrote the letter. You can tell. You can tell. You can tell. All of a sudden, this kid has knowledge like an adult. when they're writing to the school board. Yeah, no, it's not a student who wrote this. It was the adult. The adult. Let's see. Now here. I understand in AP language we are learning to develop an argument and have evidence to support it. Yet this topic is too heavy to discuss. But wait a minute. You just told us that the view being presented was antiquated and old news. And you said it was inaccurate. So you already know what it is. How can it be too heavy? You just told everyone that it's not right. Now you're saying, but it's too much for me to talk about. What you're telling me is totally wrong, but I can't tell you why because it's too much for me. Okay, kid. Okay, child. Child. And it's the adult back there writing the letter. So there's something there. There's something there. Yes, we know that all this here is written by not the child, but by the parent. So we can get rid of this is what the parent thinks. The parent thinks this. The parent thinks that it's an inaccurate depiction of life. The parent thinks that it makes them feel ashamed to be Caucasian. The parent thinks it shows antiquated history. The parent thinks that it's too heavy to discuss, not the child. The only thing that we can take as valid is up here. Wait, hold on. The only thing we can take as valid is This one wrote to the school board. After at least some students expressed discomfort with too short videos. So they must have expressed that discomfort like in class. I mean, maybe it came afterwards, but then it wasn't. It was the parents who did it. It wasn't the kids. Oh man, I think they tricked me. Another student wrote that would preface the lesson with, "Hopefully, I don't get fired for this." Because remember, in South Carolina, it's illegal to be critical of racism. So she was, you know, there might have been some discussion about how racism is bad, and that's illegal in South Carolina. And these kids are expressing that. As one student wrote, I think the parent wrote, "I was incredibly uncomfortable throughout both videos and was in shock that she would do something illegal like that." That's weird. So I think I know what this is. I think I know what causes this uncomfortableness in these children when white supremacy is exposed. I know what it is. I have the answer. See? Look at it like this. Let's see. Yeah. So the student was incredibly uncomfortable. Let me show you what it is. Let me show you what it is that causes students become incredibly uncomfortable by watching a video. They're not lying. Maybe they're not lying. Maybe they're not lying. Like, what must the world be like if they are not lying? If they're telling me the truth, if they're telling you the truth, if they really felt uncomfortable, like a physical pain, because that's what, if they really felt like a physical pain, what must the world be like? Well, there's this experiment thing
that we're going to do today,
right here, right?
I'm going to train your brain.
There's this experiment thing.
This hand, this arm, is your arm. You see, we've got this divider here.
So like,
right now, you can kind of see your arm. You see the arm there. I'm going to cover over part of your arm. Now I'm doing that because your eyes talk to your brain. And your eyes tell you this is what's happening. So now, can you physically see your arm, your right arm here?
No.
Great. So I'm going to take you two classroom rulers.
Okay, now here's let me explain what's going on here. Let me explain what's going on here. All right, this guy has his hands like this. The hand in the middle, so he's got his hands on either side. The hand in the middle is a fake hand. It's not a real hand. It's not a real hand. But there's a divider. So he cannot see his real hand. He cannot see it. And instead, so there's this fake arm here with the fake sleeve. And his brain is looking at his both hands like this, and while he's doing that, his real hand is on this side. While he's looking at this, the researcher is going to take a ruler and lightly touch his hand and touch the fake hand, so that the guy's eyes see it. So the guy's brain will be tricked into believing the sensation he feels from this hand is coming from this hand. The brain's going to get tricked. Watch.
So we're going to train the sensations. You feel the rulers touching your hands because
you
it's
see
now becoming one with your mind. That this right hand is your right hand, right? You are believing that as I drag the ruler on your right hand there,
it totally
that it is
feels.
in fact in your brain, your right hand.
It totally feels like my hand. That's crazy.
You feel the sensations line up with each finger.
What? Whoa, yo, this is crazy.
Yeah. So now if I just do like a little tap, right?
Yeah.
Feel the knuckles. Feel each digit.
Okay, that's important. See, so what he's doing right there, the associating like that, that's very important. You have to do that. You have to do that in order to train the brain into thinking that this thing that is not attached to him is attached to him. You have to train him through conditioning. They're conditioning. You're over and over again. You repeat it over and over again, over and over, day after 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 day. You do it again and again and again and again and again. And then that arm that's not attached to him, that's just a fake thing that's not even there, will be an absolute total part of him because it's been trained so much over and over. Watch, just this little bit. They're just doing it a little bit, not even the full amount, right? Just a little tiny bit, they're doing it to him. Watch.
Okay, this is where. Yeah. Now I'm gonna do this one more time to train your brain.
Okay.
Right, so you feel your thumb.
Oh, okay, yeah.
All right, did you hear that? He asked you, do you feel your thumb? And he says, oh, yes, okay, I do. But look on this other side. Look on this other side. Look on this other side. I can't put my cursor there. But look on the other side. He's not using the ruler on the other side. He's not touching his real hand. He's only touching the fake hand. And the guy doesn't realize that his that his real hand isn't being touched. He doesn't know it's not being touched. Just him seeing the fake hand being touched after he's been trained to it is enough for him to feel it. He can see it and he feels the touch. It's not actually doing it, right? You can look. It's not actually doing it. But he has been conditioned and trained so much that yes, he feels it. I feel it. Watch.
And your index finger.
He's not touching it. Not for real.
Your ring finger.
Oh my goodness.
And your pinky finger. And now you're going to feel it when I tap it.
Isn't that cool?
Feel that?
Yeah.
That.
Whoa.
I'm going to let you in on a little secret.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's going to let him know. This guy has thought the entire time that they're doing it on both sides. No. He's only been doing it on the fake hand, and he's been feeling it the entire time.
I've not been using the other ruler.
What?
Feel that?
Yeah.
I am not using the ruler.
Whoa. What do you... I mean, it's crazy. It's not... Oh! Whoa,
You
it
felt
even
that,
like...
right?
Oh, no.
Now, check
Oh.
this out. We're gonna...
You see what I mean? You see what I mean? He is just that little tiny bit. He is conditioned into thinking a rubber fucking thing is him. When he touches it, he feels it. When he touches it, he feels it. It is him. And he just got conditioned a little bit. Keep watching.
I'm going to do a little test. Now, again, this is all in your mind. I'm retraining your...
Remember, this is all in your mind. Watch what happens when watch what happens to his real fingers. When the fake fingers hit, the real finger will move.
brain to feel sensation.
Okay.
But your brain is thinking that it's feeling it.
Okay.
So even if it gets a little, what would be considered painful, I will not be harming you because of course I'm not going to be actually hitting your right arm. But your brain really believes that this is in fact your right hand.
Oh,
Right?
this is making me nervous.
Yeah, right? Because the researcher is doing that on purpose. Look what the researcher is doing. The researcher is like constantly going like this to the fake hand so that like it looks like he's going to hit the hand. And he doesn't, but it looks like he's going to. The anticipation is driving the dude crazy. He's driving him crazy. He's like, because he's like gonna act like he's gonna hit his finger with a hammer. But it's not even his hand. But his brain is so attuned to it that he's reacting as if it were his hand. He's anxious as if it really were his own hand. He really, really feels it. He really behaves as if it were really a part of him. He really behaves as if it were a part of him, even though it's just a fucking rubber piece of shit.
All right, here
Okay.
we go. I'll start lightly.
Watch his fingers. You see his fingers move? His real fingers move when the fake hand is hit.
Whoa. I'm totally feeling it in this hand. It feels, it just, oh. Wow, this is so strange.
So he is so conditioned that even if you hit a piece of rubber, his real body will react. Even if you hit a piece of rubber, his real body will react. The power of conditioning.
You feel that?
Yeah, I want to move my hand, but it feels like I can't. What's that for?
What's that for? This whole that remember, he's doing this on purpose. He's building anticipation. And tension because the tension makes it more real in his mind.
Now again, I would never on purpose hurt you, right?
I would never on purpose hurt you.
And I would never take a hammer and bash your fingers to where they would hurt, right?
I hope not.
But again, your brain is going to tell you that you're going to feel this, when in fact I'm not actually going to be causing any damage.
He's afraid to put his real hand down. He's afraid to put his real hand down because the way the hammer is going like that.
To your hand, right?
Okay.
And we'll start lightly again, okay?
Okay.
Watch.
You ready?
Yeah.
Here we go. Very lightly. Here we go.
Oh, it's so weird.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oof.
Oh.
Oh, the infamous thumb when you're hammering. This is the nail.
Oh, you know,
It's just
it feels
a piece
like
of
an
rubber.
electric shock. It's so strange.
Isn't it?
Yeah. Oh.
It's an electric shock.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Watch this. Watch this. One last electric. Watch this. You ready for this one?
Okay.
Guess which finger I'm going to hit.
Okay.
Guess which finger. See if you can tell me. Which
Here we go. Here we go.
Ooh. Now again,
Same thing. Same thing to white kids. Same thing to white kids. In sociology, we learn about the process of socialization. What is socialization? Socialization is the process by which human beings learn how to become human beings. Like you're not born knowing how to be a human being. You're born not knowing anything. You don't know anything. You have to be taught about how to be a human being, how to get along in the world, how to interact and express with other human beings. In fact, if you are denied that kind of interaction in the beginning, then you become malformed. Like you lose the capacity to fully express yourself as a human, because they found feral children who were abandoned and grew up with wolves or something, and they tried to integrate them back into society, but they couldn't do it. They could never do it. They could never adjust to fit into society ever again. So socialization is a real thing, and it is a constant, ongoing process by which individuals are taught and molded to fit into society. All the unwritten rules that society has, and all the little things that we have to learn how to do in order to live with one another in our modern life. All those things you have to do. It's a subtle kind of conditioning. The same kind of conditioning that happened to that guy on the video with the fake hand. White supremacy. Remember, we live in a white supremacist society. White supremacy never actually went away. It still exists. It's still around, right? It's the Confederacy is still alive and well. And the Confederacy has to reproduce itself. The way it reproduces itself is through, through everything else, through socialization. And education is a way of socializing people. It's one of the agents of socialization. There are several agents of socialization. Educational system is just one of them. But yeah, the Confederacy uses agents of socialization to reproduce white supremacy within children. White supremacy is not something natural. White supremacy does not come from inside of, it's not something you're born with. White supremacy is a disease, is a corrupted logic that is implanted upon children very, very young. Like a herpes virus. It's like a herpes virus. Because like if you catch it, maybe if you catch it early you can treat it. But if it goes too long, it becomes almost untreatable. But yeah, but white supremacy is like a kids are not born with white supremacy. Kids aren't born being racist. Kids aren't born with hate. Kids are born innocent. What happens to kids is they pick up all the shit that society imprints upon them. If they're born into a white supremacist society, they're gonna pick up white supremacy, right? And in other words, in fact, they have to pick up white supremacy. If the white supremacy society is to continue onward into the future, because the old white supremacists are going to die, so the kids have to be imprinted with white supremacy, and that's literally what happens is they're imprinted, because white supremacy is not, people are not born with white supremacy, it's implanted on kids. So kids are innocent. So we can look at what happens. We can look at the reactions of these kids to see what happens to someone. Okay, wait. So socialization is a real thing, right? Socialization and conditioning is a real thing. In fact, socialization is basically conditioning on a mass social scale. So if you saw the power it can have over that one guy over 5 minutes of conditioning his hand, if even that much, and it can make him act as if that hand were really his and he would try to protect it. Imagine if you were subsumed in an entire world that conditioned you non-stop 24/7 for years from the moment you were born. Like you're a baby and they just started doing this to you. You didn't have a chance. Those kids that are infected with white supremacy, they never had a chance. Those kids are innocent and they've been afflicted with a disease. So this teacher, Ms. Woods in South Carolina, found a test by which we can identify which children have become infected with white supremacy. Because those kids infected with white supremacy will have a physical reaction. And with that physical reaction, we can identify which children are infected with white supremacy, and then take those children out and put them in specialized care to help cure them of their white supremacy. Because we all agree that white supremacy is a bad thing. We don't want white supremacy. Yes, we all agree. Yes. And we're not blaming the children for white supremacy. Heavens no. Children are innocent. I don't know where this white supremacy came from, right? It's socialization. They could have picked it up from anywhere. Maybe from the parents, maybe not. Maybe from TV, maybe from church, maybe from a relative, maybe from their friends. Who knows where it came from? Kind of hard to place personal responsibility blame on a systemic issue. But I don't want to get hung up on that, right? That's the wrong question to get hung up on. That's the wrong question. We're not talking about blame. We're not trying to blame someone for who infected this kid with white supremacy. No, we're not. That's the wrong question. We already know, we have a general idea what infected the kid with white supremacy. A white supremacist society. It's systemic. As it's systemic, it's rather hard to pinpoint an exact cause or blame a particular individual. In fact, it would be counterproductive to try to blame a particular individual. Instead of trying to locate the where to place the blame. Instead, treat the issue. Who cares where it really came from? The fact is, the kid's is infected with white supremacy, and we need to treat it. We need to treat it. I mean, it's a real thing, right? It's a real thing. When this kid is exposed, this kid has this unconscious association with white supremacy. You know that thing that happened to that guy in that video where he believed that fake hand was a part of him? And the same thing has been done to these kids. These innocent kids. They never fucking stood a chance. They never stood a chance. They were innocent. And somehow, they were infected with white supremacy. They were conditioned in such a way that this institution that's not even real, right? It's not even like it doesn't even exist. White supremacy doesn't even have corporal form. It doesn't have corporal form, white supremacy. However, nevertheless, this child has a psychic connection, a connection to white supremacy, so that when white supremacy there's a light shined on white supremacy, the child feels pain. The same way that when the fake rubber hand was hit with a hammer, the man felt pain. Even though the rubber hand was not a part of the man, he still felt pain because he had been conditioned to believe that rubber hand was literally a part of him, to the point that he felt the sensations and he acted and reacted as if it were really a part of him. Same thing applies to the child. Somewhere, somehow, that child has been conditioned to believe that white supremacy is a part of them. That child, and then remember that white supremacy is kind of like a vampire in that it hates it when you shine a light on it. If you shine light on white supremacy, it recoils in pain. White supremacy cannot stand light. It cannot stand light. Cannot stand light. That's the number one thing. So if you shine a light on white supremacy, it will feel pain. It will do damage to white supremacy. However, if the child believes, it's been conditioned to believe that white supremacy is a part of themselves, they will complain. They will feel pain. They will get sick. The same way that the man felt pain when the rubber hand got hit with a hammer. It's conditioning. It's conditioning. So the good thing is that we can break it because it's not really, it's not really there. There's no actual physical connection between the child and white supremacy. There's no connection, right? There's no connection. So that child can be cured. We can fix that child. We can remove the conditioning that causes them to associate themselves with white supremacy. And that would be beneficial for the child and for society. Of course you would want to do that. Who wants a child suffering in pain? Who wants a child to do that? That's awful. Like, who wants a person to go through life with phantom pain, an unbearable pain that they can do nothing about because it's not there. It's just a phantom pain, but they feel the pain is real, but the limb is not. The pain is real, but the limb is not. So, who wants this child to go through life with phantom pain? The pain of feeling a physical connection to white supremacy that isn't actually there. Why would you want to curse a child with that kind of thing? No, of course. We want to help that child, give that child additional resources, therapy, like group therapy, like counseling, I don't know, like special education, like something to help them out, to break that conditioning, because that's yeah. If that child grows up feeling phantom pain that they can do nothing to cure, it might cause them to do bad things. It might cause them, not cause them to do bad things, but People lose a great deal of energy to pain. Like chronic pain. Let me explain to you what chronic pain is like. It's a pain that never goes away. It's like your power level is forever diminished. It's like, you know how you play advanced like AD&D, right? Your constitution score. Chronic pain is a permanent loss of constitution. you have, like, it takes energy. Like, you have chronic pain. It never ever goes away, right? You still have to function. You still have to operate, and you can do it, right? Of course you can do it, because you're a fucking tough person. You can do it, but it's not free. It's not free. You either dope yourself up with drugs, right, and then you kind of lose an edge on another aspect, or you do it al natural and you just willpower it through it. Okay, you can willpower through it, right? But what is that? Here, let's look at that word, willpower. Willpower. Power. Oh, there's that word, power. Power it comes at a cost. You can't just willpower through pain for free. You cannot do it. It costs you something. It costs you energy to willpower through chronic pain. So that, sure, you can bypass the drugs, and you can willpower your way through the pain, but you have to always do it, number one, and number two, it costs energy to willpower, so that you're always going to expend X amount of energy to get through the pain, no matter what. So then always your available pool of energy is diminished because of the chronic pain. It's a horrible thing. It's a horrible thing to have afflicted upon people. Like, you don't want people to be afflicted with chronic pain. You don't want it. You don't want them to. That, like, at all, avoid it if you can. Well, homie, phantom pain is a type of chronic pain. Sure, the limb's not real, but the pain is, and you have to willpower your way through it. Like, sure, maybe you can take drugs and you can, like, dull the pain on one side but lose another side, or you can willpower through it. But willpower takes energy. You're gonna permanently delete a part of your energy pool to deal with the pain. Wouldn't it be better if we can just avoid the whole thing? That's what I'm talking about when I'm saying to cure children of their phantom pain when they watch these videos, which shine a light on white supremacy. Because if we don't cure it now, every time light is shined on white supremacy, they're going to feel phantom pain. Look at it right now. Look at the world right now. Look at the world right now. Donald Trump stole U.S. secrets and put them in the area, in a place where Chinese spies could get them. And Donald Trump has already made prior arrangements with the Chinese government and with the Saudi government and with the Russian government and probably with the North Korean government. But in other words, Donald Trump is clearly an enemy of the United States. And yet, not only is he an enemy of the United States, he is basically an avatar of white supremacy. He's like an avatar of white supremacy, like a leader of white supremacy, like the little prophet dude walking around on the map that draws everyone to him. In populace. It's so funny. Okay. What was I talking about? Oh yeah. So, Donald Trump is going to go to prison, right? Because he's an avatar of white supremacy, everyone else who has this preconditioned association to white supremacy is going to feel as if they themselves are also under attack and also going to prison and also under constant attack. They're going to feel the same feelings as the avatar. They're and so they're gonna want to protect the avatar as if they're connected because of the conditioning. I mean, Hannity even wears the same. Do I have that? No, that's not it. Sean Hannity even paints his face orange now, just like Donald Trump, because of the conditioning. Because it's like the socialization. Like it's a real thing, right? It's a real thing. That's what happens when you let phantom pain go unchecked. Even though there's no actual connection between these people and Donald Trump, they still feel a strange loyalty to him, strange connection to him, and not to the United States, their own country. How can you not feel a connection to your own country? How can you not feel a connection to your own country? There's a problem. There's a problem if you don't feel a connection to your own country. That's a real big problem. Like, so, well, here, that's something else, right? These people who have a phantom connection to white supremacy and feel phantom pain whenever light is shined upon white supremacy have either picked up white supremacy as a way to cope with the loss of their connection to their country, or the white supremacy supplanted the connection to the country. That's where I get my idea of the Confederacy. Like the Confederacy wants, like people feel more loyal, like those people feel more loyal to the Confederacy than they do to the United States. They will defend Donald Trump because Donald Trump didn't break any Confederate laws. Donald Trump didn't betray the Confederacy. Donald Trump only broke the laws of the United States. Donald Trump only helped the enemies of the United States. Donald Trump stayed loyal to the Confederacy. Donald Trump never betrayed Confederate values. Donald Trump broke no Confederate law. So therefore, Donald Trump still has the love of his supporters. Because they have that, the Confederacy supplanted the United States as their object of allegiance. And where did this start from? Children being infected with white supremacy and not taking care of it. Because those kids have to go through life with phantom pain. We can totally cure it, but we should do it while they're young. So the work has already been done. We already have a test to identify which kids have the white supremacy virus inside them. Like, there's a whole news story about how when kids watched these 2 videos, they became sick. All we gotta, and if those kids are the ones who have the white supremacy virus. So what we have to do is play these 2 videos for every single child across the country. Every single kid across the country. And if the kid gets sick, then that kid has white supremacy inside them, and we need to fix them. We need to take care of them, and before it goes too long and becomes like a phantom pain. The kids are never at fault. They're innocent. Kids are innocent. Don't attack kids. You can't attack kids. They're innocent. The kids are innocent. And some kids are infected with white supremacy, and we have to help them. So the way you do it is you show this video to them. You show these 2 videos to them. And if they get sick, then you have to do something about it. And they get sick. They wrote videos about how they got sick. Kids get sick. kids get sick. It's the same thing with the hammer and the fake hand. Somewhere along the line, somehow those kids got conditioned to believe that they are literally a part of white supremacy. And it is in their best interest, and in our country's best interests, and in my best interests, that we get rid of that association so those kids are free. And those kids don't grow up to have phantom pain. I mean, is it clear to you guys? I'm trying to like, is it making sense? What I'm saying here. Like, this is like a brilliant idea. I'm telling you, this is brilliant. It's brilliant because I found a way to get past the blame. I don't have to blame anybody, right? I don't have to blame a person. I don't have to blame people. Right? We just know the answer. I don't have to blame anybody. We just know what to do. You know, it doesn't matter. It doesn't even like who's at fault. Never even comes into the equation. That's not the point. The point is like, oh, we have this great test to find out if a kid has white supremacy. If we play this video and kids get sick, that means they have white supremacy, and we need to take care of them. If we don't, those kids grow up to have phantom pain and will be malformed adults. The kids are innocent. It's not their fault they got infected with it. They can't do it by themselves. That's funny. Self-socialization. You can't self-socialize. What? Oh, my head. No, kids can't do it, dude. They can't do it by themselves. No, dude, no, that's hilarious. No, kids are innocent. The kids are never at fault. All we have to do is find out which kids have it and then cure them. That's all. You know, sick people aren't, you don't blame sick people for being sick. That's crazy. These kids are sick. All we got to do is cure them. That's all. Oh, man. And that's the neat part is that they're kids, so they're innocent. It bypasses all the other bullshit, like of history, of personal responsibility, of doing the work. It bypasses all that because these are kids. They're innocent. It's our job as adults to teach them the right way. And if they have a broken if they've been conditioned to have phantom pain, it's our duty to like fix that of them. We don't want them to have pain. That's like horrible. Who wants to inflict suffering on children? That's awful. No way. No, we gotta, yeah. So that's why I'm so excited that we found 2 videos that for sure will identify kids who are infected with white supremacy, and that all we gotta do is play these videos and identify which kids get sick. Like maybe we don't even have to identify. Maybe they'll tell us that they got sick. Even better, right? Even better. I think we should we need to play this video like throughout all high schools. These videos. For real, dudes, for real. Like should I don't know if I should play the video now or later, I don't know. Like or you can look it up yourself, but it basically like I found a way of like cutting off the white supremacy like reproductive cycle. If white supremacy can't reinfect kids, it's gonna die off. Because after you leave school, the agents of socialization have less influence. I mean, there's always going to be agents of socialization, right? But like children are powerless. Whereas adults have, a little more like self-awareness and sovereignty. Like to take care of themselves, but kids have like no defense whatsoever against agents of socialization. So yeah, Like, it's not their fault. Come on, dudes. It's not their fault. That's crazy. That's crazy talk. But we can cure them. We can cure them. They don't have to grow up with phantom pain. Because that's the other side of racism. Like, one side of racism is the hate, right? Everyone sees the ugly side of the everyone sees that side, right? The anger, the aggression. But what's the other side of the, like, a lot of times, remember, a lot of times that part of it is just a progression of a sadness, a deeper sadness within. Like, a lot of times angry people are angry because really deeply they're very, very sad. That's why they're so angry, because like it's another like aspect of their sadness. I don't know. I'm not like, you know. Anyways, so a lot of these adults who are aggro racists are in deep pain because of the phantom pain, the phantom association that's been conditioned into them, that conditions them to believe that white supremacy is literally a part of them. So that if you shine light on white supremacy and it hurts white supremacy, they feel pain themselves and will react to protect it. I'm telling you, that's exactly it, guys. That's exactly it. That's exactly it. Ms. Woods found the 2 videos that did it. That for sure identifies kids with white supremacy. She found it, dudes. She found it. All we got to do is implement it now, right? It's just do it. I mean, like, just implement the program, right? These 2 videos will find, like, kids aren't to blame for their white supremacy. They're not to blame. The power of socialization is great and profound in ways most people don't even comprehend. We can see the power of socialization in a fractal version of the rubber hand and the hammer. The way the person was conditioned to believe that this non-human, non-part of him was actually a part of him. He actually felt sensations whenever that fake hand was touched, and he felt fear when he thought that damage would come to the fake hand. You saw it in his body. He felt fear. He felt anxiety that some harm would come to his hand, that he would feel horrible sensation. It's not even a part of him. He's like, oh my God, you're gonna hit this. Oh my God. Right? It's not even a part of him. But he felt a crazy connection. Same thing with the kids. Somehow, some way, they've been conditioned to believe that they have a connection to white supremacy, and so that if you shine a light on white supremacy, the kids feel pain, and we found the way to identify them. All we need now is a way to cure the kids. I don't know, how would we do that? What's the program for that? Once we've identified which kids have white supremacy and we pull them aside for extra treatment, extra education, dude, because it's not treatment, it's education. What do we teach them? Like, how do we teach them? How do you break that association with white supremacy? How do you do it? How do you do it in psychology? I don't know. But I'm getting close. I'm almost there. I'm almost there. I thought I had it, but I'm not quite. I need that last piece. Like, once you identify the kids with white supremacy, and then you for who need like help, how do you help them? How do you help those kids? But yo, dude, we did it. We found the way to well, we found a start. To me, I feel like it's like a breakthrough. To me, I feel like it's a breakthrough. So we know why white supremacy. We know that white supremacy doesn't want white supremacy to be discovered. Just like a herpes virus doesn't want to be found, right? It doesn't want to be found for you to destroy it, so it hides like deep within the nerves or something. I'm not quite sure, right? but yeah, it's incredibly difficult to cure a person of herpes virus because the virus goes in deep by the nerves. And you can't really get him, and it's a virus. It's not a bacteria, it's a virus. So white supremacy is the same thing. It's a virus. What is a virus, right? A virus is just a piece of information that wants to make more of itself. That's it. And it does so by hijacking cells. So white supremacy, the virus, hijacks the reproduction cell of humans by implanting itself into children, who then grow up to be adults with phantom pain, who then act to protect that thing that's not actually attached to them, but they feel as if it really is. So white supremacy is a virus. Yeah, white supremacy is totally a mind virus. Well, it's also but it's also, see, that's the thing. It's not just a virus. It's encoded in our material conditions. Like white supremacy. What am I talking about? White supremacy is a virus. White supremacy is that homeless couple I always see on Commercial Street, like in the hot sun, begging for money. That's white supremacy. It's not your fucking virus, dude. Shut up. White supremacy is material conditions. The analogy, the conceptualization of white supremacy as a virus is neat, but what does it do for us? Where do we go with it? Like what? Well, see, I'm not like denying that that the material basis isn't important. I'm just trying to find a way forward, a conceptual path forward. So if we conceptualize white supremacy as a virus, which infects our institutions and reproduces itself within children, if we can inoculate children from white supremacy, then maybe white supremacy will die out, will die off, because it can't reproduce anymore. It won't be able to reproduce. So how do you inoculate the children from white supremacy, from association with white supremacy? Well, media is a good way of doing it, but state doesn't control media. That's all private stuff. Like, I can genuinely spread the idea, right? That's the. But no, I was getting, I'm losing focus here. What do we do to get kids cured of the false association that they have to white supremacy? How do we do that? A class, a movie, like a poem? A song, a dance? A painting? A mentor? A kata? I don't know. I'm not like a child education specialist. Right? I'm not a child education specialist. I don't I'm not a doctor either, so I did study sociology. But yeah, I think that's a pretty exciting thing. We can identify which of our institutions are corrupted by by white supremacy by looking at what policies are are aimed at preserving white supremacy and the reproduction of white supremacy. So obviously, laws that make it illegal to discuss critical race theory, that's clearly white supremacy. That's clearly a manifestation of the disease of white supremacy. It's a mechanism, right? That mechanism perpetuates the false association children will have with white supremacy. Though they will grow up with, in fact, yeah, that's entirely it's not a problem that the kids felt pain watching that video. That's not the problem. The problem is that the state got involved to stop the education. That was the problem. The state got involved to stop the education. Like the state had, politicians. No, they have no. Well, yeah, they did, right, via law. They passed statute. They passed the statute. They passed a statute so they could get involved. Yeah, they're white supremacists. They're Nazis, dude. Who passes a law so the state could get involved in education, like directly, like overly involved in education? Nazis do that kind of shit. White supremacists do that kind of shit. Yeah, so South Carolina, it sounds like their legislature is white supremacist, right? Because it acted in a way to preserve white supremacy. Well, who controls the South Carolina government? Republicans. Well, that tracks, right? I've been saying Republicans are Confederates, white supremacists. So I mean, like, okay. But that's interesting. Children are groomed from birth in white supremacist societies to become white supremacists. That's where they pick it up from. They pick it up from white supremacist society. I mean, it's white. I mean, that's what I said earlier. They picked it up from white supremacist society. So that's why that's why they don't want to what's it called? That's why they don't want. That's why white supremacists don't want to address it. Because they're the ones doing it. They're the ones doing the conditioning, and they don't want to be counter conditioned. Oh, that's why they're against the rainbows, because to them that's countering their conditioning. It breaks their conditioning. The rainbow breaks their conditioning. Let me think. Really? Does it really? Because I've seen them try to hijack it. Yeah, they can try whatever they want, right? It still provokes a reaction, dude. I I dig rainbows now. All right, rainbows are definite signs. You know what? Maybe rainbows do the same thing that that the videos did to children. Those children, the children who were infected with white supremacy, felt pain whenever they saw those videos. Um, Adults inflicted with white supremacy feel pain whenever there's the symbol of the rainbow. So if I wear like a cross, or not a cross, maybe a cross, but nah, not a cross. But if I wear a rainbow, like if I wear a necklace with a rainbow on it, and I go forth, and I'll be able to see. I'll be able to see. I'll be able to see which people are infected with white supremacy. Look at that, dude. Apple wanted you to pay $3,500 for big ass ski goggles that had computer graphics on it, when all you had to do is spend however much money it's going to cost me to find an artist to make a necklace with a rainbow on it, so I can go around and like it's like a magic talisman. It's like a magic talisman which like dispels illusion, and like any like cloaked hater within radius like is revealed to be who they are, because they'll be like at the symbol and at me. I'll be like, oh, you're a white supremacist, you're infected with white supremacy. Yeah, dude, that's a good idea. I guess that's the point of adorning yourself with symbols, right? That's like it's like every symbol you adorn yourself with is like another symbol of power, of like who you are, and a declaration of what you stand for, and also of what you're against. So if you come by and your alignment is of a certain particular way, the person who comes by is in an opposite alignment. They'll be like, it'll be like it'll burn them. They'll be like, I can't go near you. That's funny. Go ahead, wear your cross around me. I dig crosses. Wear your rainbows too. Woo! This is fun. Dude, I didn't do anything in Minecraft. I just walked around and like talked. But like, yeah, so where was I going? Ways of uncovering white supremacy. I'm just surprised I'm the first person who thought of this. That's the thing. Like, I'm like, this can't be real, right? This can't be real. I can't be the first person to think of this. Like, come on. I can't be the first one. I mean, it's so obvious. It's so obvious. I can't be the first one. Do 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 do. Hey, do 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 do. Yeah. Yeah, I can't be the first person to have thought of this. I don't know. It just seems too weird. It just seems too weird to think that I would be the first person to think of this. That humans can be like, I have to look it up. I'm sure someone's written about this somewhere. But humans. Oh, it's overloaded? Why would it be overloaded, dude? I'll have to check it out. Okay. Anyways. So to review. A teacher in South Carolina, Ms. Woods, discovered 2 videos which detect the presence of white supremacy within children. This is beneficial because, number one, children are innocent. It's not their fault. And we want to stop white supremacy we want to stop white supremacy. So if we can detect it early, we can do something about it before it spreads. Then I started identifying which institutions were opposed to oh yeah, and I demonstrated that this phenomenon is real because there's a correlation, there's an example I displayed with the fake hand, how humans can be conditioned into believing that something that is not a part of them is actually a part of them. I mean, if you need another example, like look at sports events. Like there are people who have such a strong association with their sports team that they become that their behavior becomes like unlawful to the point of rioting. Such a strong attachment. That's conditioning. It's conditioning. It's not actually really there, but it's been conditioned into reality. It's been basically. So we can identify, because using this principle of conditioning, we can identify which kids have been conditioned into white supremacy and then help them. And it's not their fault because, they're just kids. So it's no big deal to just to help them because it's not their fault. Just like you don't blame the sick person for getting sick. It's not their fault. We all agree that we want to stop white supremacy. We all agree it's not the kid's fault. We all agree that conditioning is real. We all agree that the kids aren't lying when they say they felt just uncomfortable, which tells us that the videos are good tests to detect when a kid has white supremacy inside them. So all we got to do is take care of the white supremacy inside the kid. It's not a big deal because we all agree that white supremacy is a bad thing and that it shouldn't be inside people. We all know what happens if we neglect to remove the white supremacy from inside the person, the child. They grow up to have a phantom pain. That phantom association that they have continues and strengthens into adulthood and becomes phantom pain. Because we all want to stop white supremacy. And so we all do everything we can to defeat white supremacy. But that causes discomfort in people who have their phantom association with white supremacy. Right? So it's best to nip this thing in the bud. Let's not just hope and pray that the people grow up to overcome their conditioning. Let's just take care of it while they're young, while they're kids. The same way we have kids wear braces while they're young, the same reason we give them all their shots while they're young, so they grow up to be healthy adults. Not because they're bad kids, but because we want them to grow up to be healthy adults. So to that end, we need to find a way to take these 2 videos and play them in every single high school in the United States. And then we need a program to help treat those kids who get sick after watching the video. Because we know they do. We know it happens. It already did, right? They had to stop the lesson. It was so strong. So it's a powerful thing. It really, really works. We will really find the kids who have white supremacy this way. But you have to have a society interested in ending white supremacy. Right? That's the other part of it. It's not good enough to be able to detect white supremacy. It's not good enough to be able to treat white supremacy. You have to have a society interested in getting rid of white supremacy. If your society is not interested in getting rid of white supremacy, then it's not going to. It's never going to get better. It will never get better. If you're not interested in getting better, why would you get better? It's like alcoholism. It's like alcoholism. It's the same thing. If a person who drinks alcohol excessively to the detriment of themselves and their family and their futures, we will say that person's alcohol dependent, and that it is imperative that that person alter their course in terms of the consumption of alcohol. Otherwise, they're going to die. Everyone knows the plan they need to take. Everyone knows the steps that need to be done, the dance, the everything. But if the person who consumes too much alcohol to begin with doesn't want to alter their course, it doesn't fucking matter, does it? South Carolina, case in point. The government of South Carolina has no interest in ending white supremacy. In fact, I would argue the government of South Carolina is interested in the reproduction of white supremacy. I can say so by looking through its policies and determining, does this help white supremacy or hinder white supremacy? Oh, look, all these Republican policies of South Carolina help white supremacy. Your government is not interested in ending white supremacy, therefore it will not. So the solution is to take control of the government of South Carolina. Well, normally there would be peaceful transfers of power by regularly polling the population to see which candidate and by proxy which policies they preferred. But I believe in the state of South Carolina, I could be wrong, but I believe that the democratic process in these states has been perverted to an exceptional degree in the states controlled by Confederates, by Republicans, so that it makes it impossible for the peaceful transfer of power to happen. If not impossible, far more difficult than it needs to be, if not impossible. That creates tension in a society that has to be relieved one way or another. So yeah, it's not enough that we can identify that. Oh, I see the problem. It's my my thing here. It's too much. Anyways, yeah, it's not enough that we know how to identify the kids who have white supremacy. We have to also be able to implement a program to cure them of it, and we can't do that unless we get the government like out of the way. And they're not going to, because the government is controlled by white supremacists who want to promote white supremacy. I know this because they passed a law that made it illegal to criticize racism. That's the same thing as white supremacy. That's like a law of white supremacy, that you can't criticize the ruler. that you can't talk about the can't talk about the system. That's like exactly white supremacy. So of course the government of South Carolina is controlled by white supremacists. Look at the laws they passed. They took away freedom of speech in service to white supremacy. So yeah, I don't know if they're interested in it's, in fact, I know they're not interested in it, because I know they're not. The state, instead of saying, hey, wow, we found these kids are infected with white supremacy, instead of saying, well, since we know these kids have white supremacy, let's take care of them and let's teach them to be better adults. Instead of that, no. What happened was the teacher got in trouble and they had to stop the classes. In other words, the big light being shined on white supremacy caused pain to white supremacy. And it created an agent of the Matrix to appear and shut it down so that the light stopped shining on white supremacy. I mean, is it as clear to you as it is to me? If it's not clear to you, I can help you see it. Yeah, it's not a problem of like, oh, where's the white supremacy? We know where it is. It's in our kids. We know where it is. All you have to do is take care of it. But somebody is stopping us from taking care of it. All those somebodies happen to be Republican. Why is that? Because they're white supremacists. Yeah, I was excited. I was excited when I found that out. When I started figuring that out, I got real happy. It's neat, dude. We found a 100% positive. Well, I don't know. It's got to be. I don't know. I don't know how effective it is. Right? It seems pretty effective. It already identified like a couple of kids so powerfully that they moved to shut down, to involve the government to shut down, or not the government. They must have involved the school district to shut down the class. Like, wow, dude. Wow, that was what a reaction. What a reaction. It's like if you hit someone just barely and their leg just like flies up. Holy shit. It really works. So that's why I think we should use that video everywhere. Dude, I want to play it now. I want to play it now. But I'll save it. I'll save it. I might have to redo. I'm going to redo this whole story again during my show. I just wanted to do it one time through just to get it out of my system. And I don't know. I just thought it was pretty neat. There's got to be someone who's thought of this before. I don't know. Anyways, all right. Pogo Kiddo out. Peace. Stop.